We made 3 moves. We've got quite a lot of information. This place is full of information. Like, we've got this Clive Dawning at Northgate Publishers who's like, yep, give us the info. He's posted 2 letters.
So yeah, okay, let's just go through what we've got before we run off again. So yeah, we've definitely got... So obviously someone says that his information is still good. Is that the information about where the gem is?
It must be, because it's the publishers of the book.
So the publishers...
have sent him a wire saying, yep, we're good, sell us that information. And then he dies the same day.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a large, well-dressed strangler.
But so what happened to the letter that he sent to Brick Street?
Doesn't seem to have arrived, or it's arrived... Well, when did he... Because he arrived on the 8th, right? So he could have posted those letters yesterday or the day before.
Well, I'm sure it said when he gave them the letters to post.
Yeah, can you look at 3SE again?
Sorry, yeah, I'm not very good
when
at
he
doing
posted
this.
them?
He posted them today, this morning.
So they wouldn't have reached the house on time.
No.
Well, then why would he be sending a letter there if he's already in contact with the publishers and
And he's
arranging the
also
deal?
meant to be having a meeting with that guy.
Yeah, it's very odd for him to send a letter before the meeting.
Well, maybe he's like just updating him or something like that. It's letting us... Well, I think it's more... It's fine, don't worry about that.
You don't think that's unusual?
I don't think
that
that's
he's having a
unusual.
meeting with this guy this morning or tomorrow morning, and he also sends him a letter today.
I think you can just send him more letters, though. What's the Norgate and Co publishers? So who's
They're
this?
the publishers of Armstead's book on the Polar Star.
So Clive Dawning. Information still valuable. See me.
I mean, we could go talk to him. But
I mean, is he organised? Is he the one who's
I think he's like a
organising the
middleman.
meeting?
He's like his agent, and he must be like an intermediary between Armstead and this shady Frenchman.
Where are Norgate and Publisher? Are they on Pont Street as well? Are they 53?
Oh, it could be. Oh, that's where the other address he might be sending to. Good point. Let's have a look.
It said who the publisher of the book was.
Yeah, it's here. It's definitely Northgate and Company. I can't find them in the directory.
Okay.
But maybe I can find him. What's his name? Clive
Dawning.
Dawning. He might be in here. And then we can see if he lives on that street.
Pont Street. How strange.
No, he's not in here.
Okay. What are you having to think about? What are we thinking now then?
I'm just trying to work out if we have any idea of who this large man could be.
That's true.
Clive Dawning,
didn't-
34 NW.
Oh,
DOR.
I'm blind.
Sorry.
Oh, DO. I was looking DA.
Yeah.
Oh,
34
sorry.
Good call.
Northwest.
34 Northwest. Whereabouts is that on the map?
Well, then it's not.
There.
There we go.
Cavendish Square. Nice.
Okay.
Is it the YMCA? Interesting.
Really? Young man.
There's a place you can go.
Frenchman.
It's the China legation down the road.
To the Langham Hotel on the Cavendish Square.
Now let's stop.
At the Princess Theatre. Okay, yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
You got sued by the YMCA guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I didn't like that. It was for MILK. Do you remember our old song back in the day?
No, this large, well-dressed, well-mannered man, strangler. We'll call him the large strangler.
The Strangler.
They mentioned that he was well-mannered and well-dressed. They would have said if he wasn't English, I think. So he's not part of this whole French conspiracy
That we know.
that we know of. He might just be a henchman.
A hired goon.
Goon.
He almost certainly isn't Fitch or an old tontine holder.
He's no one we've already met.
For him
or
to be
heard
that big
about.
and be strangling people and stuff
Yeah.
and rushing down the stairs, it doesn't sound like an elderly chap.
No, it sounds like Pierre Martin is getting involved with some dodgy folks. Is Andre Martin in the directory?
Is it MAT? Yeah.
Yeah, is his father in the directory? Or his brother or his relation in the directory? MATIN?
No.
Okay. Interesting. Oh gosh. It's good, isn't it, this?
Yeah, no, this is really good.
Tricky. It's very tricky.
I'm really getting into it.
We should.
Can I read the hotel section again? Just
Should we
have
go
a
talk to the
note
French
through?
embassy? Talk to Jean-Paul Girard, who Armstead had a meeting with at 1 p.m. today.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's important,
Let's do
actually.
the French embassy,
Embassy.
because we have wanted to do that.
The French embassy was right around here, right?
Yeah.
59
stop there.
Southwest.
I can
It's
see
all
it
going
on the
down in
map.
southwest London.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Okay, this is quite a long one. A sprightly, silver-haired gentleman meets us in the embassy waiting room and introduces himself as Jean-Paul Girard. He leads us to
Bonjour, je
a
suis
small
Jean-Paul Girard.
office where we can have our conversation in privacy. Monsieur, we begin. You knew General Armstead from his tour of duty at the École Militaire, did you not? Yes.
I did.
Le did. You can read it if you want.
Okay. Yes, the general, he was better captain at the time, but was one of a group of English officers sent to our war college. We in turn sent a number of French officers to your war college at Sandhurst. I was assigned to be the general's guide, as it were, during his stay. We were quartered together and were constantly in each other's company for an entire year. In such a situation, people emerge as either the worst of enemies or the best of friends. Happily, the latter was true in our case. Would you describe the general as he was at that time? The general was quite a dashing fellow. I would say that when on duty, there was no more dedicated officer in the English army when on duty. His knowledge of military history was astounding. But off duty, well, that was another matter entirely. He breaks into a broad grin. I'm afraid the general was quite a devotee of wine, women, and song, although not by any means in that order. I was quite amazed at, shall we say, his stamina. I, a Frenchman, could not keep up with him. When I complained that he was putting me and my countrymen to shame in matters of love, he laughed and said that it was because we did not have a horse face to spur us on. You see, just before the general left England, he had become engaged to a Mary Fitch, later Mrs. Armstead. On her, he had conferred the unfortunate sobriquet Horseface. It was a marriage of convenience only. It would provide the general with social position and a significant increase in wealth. He looked on his stay in France as a last fling before the marriage knot was tied around his neck, was the way he phrased it. So there was no particular woman in the general's life at that time. Curiously, there was someone, although I never learned her name. Mon petit fleur, he called her. I remember one morning, actually, it was the middle of the night, near the end of his tour of duty, when the general awakened me. It was obvious that he had not been to bed, and he was slightly inebriated. He wanted me to rise and sortie with him out into the country. I told him to get some sleep. Morning call was only an hour or so away. With my rebuff, he settled down on his bed and rambled on somewhat cryptically about promises that must be kept and promises that couldn't be. Finally, he slumped back on the bed and sighed. Mon petit fleur, I shall never forget the depth of that sigh. Ma fleurette, he said. So that's that fucking letter right there. Have you seen the general often over the years? No, not at all, in fact. Our friendship has been entirely sustained by correspondence. Last week, when I arrived in London, we had supper at Rouge and then went to see the French actor Philippe Arnaud perform. The general commented that my presence next to him while French was being spoken from the stage reminded him of the old days. We even went backstage after the performance to meet some of the actors. It was, in fact, the first time in almost 40 years that we had actually been in each other's presence. Your visit went well? Oh, exceedingly. The general was in excellent spirits. Was there anything in particular on his mind? Did he seem worried? No, not at all. He joked at length about the upcoming Tontine celebration at the Langham. Also, even predicted that he would certainly outlast the other ticket holders and win. He was also very enthusiastic about the new information concerning the Polar Star. He was to meet someone this week, a countryman of mine, if I'm not mistaken, who was to give him that information. If anything, he was looking forward to that meeting. What business did his appointment with you this afternoon involve? The business of two old friends simply getting together to dine and chat. It is hard for me to believe that my good friend is gone.
So he's confirmed all our suspicions here, hasn't he?
This lad was a fucking player.
He was liberating the French ladies from their underwear.
One fanny at a time.
Ma petit fleur. Yeah. So I reckon she was pregnant.
Yeah, so it was his.
That was his promise.
His love child.
There are promises that can be kept and promises that can't be. I reckon he was to marry her and he promised that, and then he buggered off back here and he took this social position marriage. Mm-hmm. She's not happy about it, and perhaps a duel of honour to reclaim her honour, something like that.
What I'm wondering is, like, how old would he have been when he was on his exchange programme, and how old would the son be now? Like, would the son be too young to be an old man with a cane?
Well, to appear as an old man with a cape. We don't know if he was.
True, because he might have vaulted that wall.
And that cape might have covered up his real face.
Mm.
The carpet bag. What was in the carpet bag?
What?
Good question.
A sword?
Mm.
Well, there was a cane and a carpet bag. If we assume the cane is the sword, the carpet bag wouldn't...
Well, that might have been for putting whatever he was stealing in.
Spare swords? A body?
What was he stealing?
I don't know.
Or what was he
Was
delivering?
it a disguise in the carpet
He
bag?
might have been delivering something as well, and something went awry.
Was he
Yeah,
the
I think
son?
I don't think he went there intending to murder him. I think a scuffle broke out inadvertently.
If you go in there to murder someone, why did it take 15 minutes for them to get around to it? Because remember, they were talking for 15 minutes
Before he heard the
before
sword
he
play.
did it.
Yeah, I think it got out of hand.
If you're going to go kill someone, you
accident.
go in, you stab them, and you get out. You don't dilly-dally.
Maybe it was a blackmail situation of like, you know, this
You got to do right by your.
illegitimate son. I'm your son. You left my mother there with no support. Blah,
It's a
blah,
matter
blah.
of honour. Because the guy, remember, he took the time to take a chair up to the wall and get a sword down. Now, he might have been doing that, but said, you know, saying something like, show me your... is that the sword you used in so-and-so battle? Oh, yes, let me get it down for you and show him.
Yeah.
And then he could have said, now that you're armed, you know, prepare to die, and whipped out his own sword. Or he could have challenged him to an honour-saving duel, and you know this old general is going to be all about that.
Do you reckon, like, because he went to this, this when he was in London, they had supper at Rules and went to see the French actor, and then they went backstage. Do you say? Yeah, we went backstage to meet some of the actors. You know, so they. It's possible that he could have run into someone at that time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Maybe there's a notice of the play that someone else was there that we can get.
Oh, have a look, see if
information
there's out in the
papers.
papers, yeah.
Yeah. What was the play called?
It was called Philippe Arnaud was performing, a French actor. So there's a lot of French stuff going on here. Do you see what I mean?
Here we go. The Princess Theatre, French plays. The 22nd season of French plays is now underway. The entire company, 40 in number, of the Compagnie Arnaud, Paris, appears in this theatre in the two great successes of the year. Box office open daily, 10 to 5. There's nothing there. Nothing important.
It is in the paper though.
Yeah, I'd hope there'd be some other names. Because the only other name we have that we haven't put a face to and a time to is this André Matin.
His brother.
The brother or father or son.
The relative of...
The relative
Yeah.
of the guy who got strangled.
Yeah.
And he was the guy who also knew where the gem is.
But maybe he didn't. Maybe he was like, I know this guy wants to find the gem. This is how I find out who he is, where he lives, arrange a meeting with him.
I still think one of our best leads is the fact that he sent 2 letters. One to 27 Brick Street. That guy ended up dead. The other one went to Pont Street. So there's got to be something in that. Because why would he send 2 letters? On the same morning that he gets killed. Maybe he knew they were going to go kill him. He had to get this information out there.
I don't think we can go to Pond Street without a reason though, because I think sometimes these you can't just turn
it's a
up
bit
there.
cheaty. Yeah,
You have
it's like going in the old Final Fantasy books or whatever they're called. And
Choose your own adventure.
choosing through
We
and
have to
keeping
know.
your finger in a page.
We have to like imagine there's like 20 buildings on Pond Street. We can't just walk
Yeah,
into
exactly.
any of
Just
them.
because it's
Yeah.
marked on the map, it's kind of cheaty.
We need to figure out.
We don't
like,
know what number it was addressed to.
No,
so-
well, as soon as we figure out that someone lives on Pond Street, I think we can go there. I
Yeah,
think that would be a clue, but I think that we have to understand which house we're going
Yep.
to, for example.
Yeah, rather than just knocking on doors.
not
Going,
gonna
did you get a
metagame it."
letter from a Frenchman?
We're not going to.
Because they can all just say no, and then we're nowhere.
Can I have a look at what was the hotel one? Was that Southwest?
It was 3 southeast.
Yeah.
Southeast Bridge House Hotel, so SE3.
Well, I
just
think
wanna
this
have
is
another read through
time
it.
for a little tea break. I could do with a cup of tea.
Should we retire
Holmes.
to the tea rooms?
Let's go and have a cup of tea.
To
We'll
the
be
club.
back.
To the club for cigars and tea.
These mysteries, you know, they take time, and we need to have a little rest of our minds from time to time, and also
Yes, and a little bit of opium.
a little tiny spot of drugs. We've had a little tea break. I've cut my lip, so hopefully I'll be okay.
You'll be okay. We'll tough it out.
Yeah, we'll manage. We'll work through it. We were just at the French embassy.
Yes.
We spoke to the chap there. He sort of confirmed our suspicions that the General Armitage
Had his way with the French ladies.
had possibly a petit fleur, a little flower in le south
Yeah.
of France
He was a shagger.
during le war, the Great War, as it's now known. So they knew the Napoleonic War was known as the Great War
Was it?
before the Great War.
Before the Great War.
There's always been a Great War.
The Great War of our time.
We went to the Bridge House Hotel. and we found out that the dead guy, because this is another murder, had received a wire that day from Clive Dornan at Norgate and Company Publishers saying important information coming to me.
Armitage's publishers on the book about the diamond, right?
Armstead, yeah. So, Clive Dornan at Norgate and Company tells us about General Armstead's revision of Treasures of the Conqueror.
So are we going to the Norgate and Publishers?
We've gone there, yeah.
Right, oh, I see.
We're on the way.
In March, we received a letter from a Pierre Matin from Paris addressed to the General. That's the dead chap, right? Because Andre Matin was the passport, but Pierre Matin is the dead
strangled guy. Yeah.
We forwarded it to him. 2 days later, the General came to tell us that the author of the letter knew of the whereabouts of the Polar Star, a remarkable diamond that once belonged to Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's brother. He believed that the information was genuine because the letter contained a detailed description of how the gem was stolen from its last known owner, Count Rostov, a Russian. It also contained details of the time and place of the sale to its present owner, who actually commissioned the theft, an Englishman. The General was very anxious to include the chapter on the diamond in a revised edition of his book. The only reason that such a chapter had been omitted from the first edition was for want of that final bit of information. For our part, we were very anxious to publish such a revised edition. The original publication caused quite a stir among the public. You see, many of the treasures were in fact reconquered by their present owners by whatever means available, fair or foul. Many of them had secrets to hide. The revelation of those secrets created quite a sensation. The more libel suits were pressed against us, the more the book sold. Knowing that our revelations about the Polar Star will create a scandal, we immediately proceeded with the announcement of the upcoming book release in the Times. As soon as we did, letters began pouring in, some simply rejoicing in the news, some reserving copies, and some anonymous, of course, forecasting doom for the General should the book be re-released. Was there any pattern to those letters? Did they appear to have come from any one person? No, although we never saved any to compare them, we simply burned them as they came in. Have you had contact with Pierre Matin? I knew that he was in town to meet with the General. I have a draft for the £5,000 ready. When I learned of the General's death, I wired Monsieur Matin that his information is still valuable to us. So there's a scandal to cover up regarding the Polar Star.
Right.
And it was stolen by an Englishman. On commission. The theft was commissioned by an Englishman.
So there's a lot of people who want him dead.
I think so. What happened was, I think that obviously this guy thought he could, I think, stop the General from publishing his chapters, right, by blackmailing him with this information about his petty friend.
Yeah.
And when he said, I don't care, go ahead, he said, well,
my wife's dead, I don't give a shit. Oh, yeah, I mean,
I think I'll release this anyway, and you'll be ruined.
Right, attempted
If
blackmail.
I'm going down, you're coming down with me.
Yeah.
And then he ran him through. Yeah, that's probably the motive.
Do you think the Montans, Andre and
Matins.
Pierre, the Matins, were having it both ways? One of them was going to get the money for the information, and the other one was going to blackmail him to not finish the book. So they could like double dip, if you see what I mean.
Possibly.
Sell him the information and then extort him for more money to not release it.
Rather elaborate.
I think if they just wanted money.
£5,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, that's like hundreds of thousands today, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's just to find out who has the. So someone has that polar diamond. Someone has the jewel.
Someone in England.
We need to find out who has that jewel.
Yeah.
Well, that's not our.
Well, no, but I think we do. I think we need to find out. I think they'll be the person who's arranged the murders, trying to keep this quiet.
I think he went there for two things: either to blackmail him or to kill him.
If the blackmail didn't work.
Yeah.
So they
or maybe he went there to, like you said, to try and plead with General Armistead not to publish this information. Here's the thing: General Armistead would have published this information, right, and was going to meet with Matin that day, kill him. The chap who was going to meet with him and give him the information, he's dead.
Oh yeah, double. You think they were both murders were arranged by the same guy?
What relates these two?
Well, yeah, of course.
Right? What relates them is information about this diamond and these treasures. And there's an Englishman, possibly living in London, who's either arranged this murder or carried it out himself. Now remember that it said a big, well-dressed, well-spoken chap, a burly guy, possibly ex-military.
So the strangler, you think, is the guy who has the diamond?
He's involved somehow, isn't he? But he and the guy who killed the general must be two different people.
Oh yeah.
Because he would have said, the first thing the butler at number 27...
he said he was an old Frenchman.
Yeah, and he would not have said... I mean, he would have commented that he was a big guy. So there's more to it than just... I mean, the murderers might not be the same, but what ties the murders together surely has to be this diamond. Otherwise, it's two unrelated murders that just happen to occur on the same morning.
Yeah, to
In the
two
same
people who were
city.
connected by shady business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too suspicious, isn't it?
So what's our next move, guys? What's our next move?
we have no leads on this mysterious English jewel thief.
We need to find out who is possibly in charge of the gem. Who would possibly be involved with the gem? I mean, we've got some other people here we could visit, but I feel like most of these will just tell us things we already know.
It's tricky. I mean, the only name we have that we haven't investigated is Andre Martin, but we have no leads on that.
We could. What if we go to these things here?
Well, these are things like we can go to talk to the head of the cab drivers to find out who was.
So, for example, we can look at
time.
how the autopsy report. So how he died. Like he was
run through, right?
with
Yeah,
that
that's
saber.
not going to help us.
Criminologist. He goes through all the items and substances found during cases. I don't think that's going to help us too much. Backup information, police. We can ask Mycroft Holmes for help. He might have some greasy information. A member of the criminal underground, Fred Porlock, might have information about the activities of Moriarty. Underworld. Illegal affairs, Porky Shinwell. I mean, he might have some. I mean,
Well, yeah, because this jewel thief thing, like all the
very
organised crime
shady.
guys, they might know about that, mightn't they?
Okay, so our current leads are who are the characters in the story that we've got names for that we haven't investigated.
Andre Martin, whose passport was in Pierre
We're
Martin's
looking for Andre
pocket.
Martin, of
Andre
course, the movie they went to, the French
play.
movie where they met all those French people
Yeah.
backstage at the Philippe Arnaud, the French actor, and his troupe. We need to find out. We need to see if we can investigate the troupe, and we need to find the large man
The large strangler.
Yeah.
who ran out and got in a carriage.
I think we should ask the carriage chaps. They might give us something.
We can go to the taxi office and say, do
Okay.
you remember picking up a huge guy? Where did you take him?
Let's go there. What's the carriage
It
office?
says 5WC. Is it in here? It's not.
Maybe in
is it?
there.
It'll be WC, so I
Because
guess
it's
it'll
different
be
for every
okay.
case.
5WC. At the Central Carriage Stables, we spread out to see if we can find a cabbie who was working the Hyde Park, Brick Street, Green Park area this morning at approximately 10:15,
That's not the one we wanted.
and who remembers an elderly man very much in a hurry. When we gather together again to compare notes, no one has turned up our man, although several cabbies were in the right area at the right time. When I mentioned our problem to a group of fellows, one spoke up to say that if we were looking for a man in a hurry on the other side of the town,
Yes.
he could help us. He said he picked up one such man this morning outside the Bridge House Hotel and took him to De Kaiser's.
Der Kaiser?
De Kaiser's.
Der Kaisers.
What's that?
D-E.
Okay.
De Kaiser's Royal Hotel.
Okay. All right, make a note of WC. So we went to 5WC.
So that's only across the bridge.
At De Kaiser's Royal Hotel, we learned that a Russian gentleman, Count Rostov, and his man are staying in Suite 408.
Rostov and his large man, I assume.
Hello. If you enjoyed our games on Games Night, you can actually pick them up on the Yogscast store. There's all the games we played, Camel Up, Bang, a bunch of D&D stuff. So go ahead, take a look, maybe buy some Yogscast t-shirts while you're at it. Thanks for the support. Cheers, guys.